Euromaxx highlights coming up on the show. Island images. Photographer Jörg Bräuer captures the tranquility of Mallorca. Lake City. Euromaxx visits the northern German city of Schwerin. And Come Together. The Rock in Rio Music Festival lands in Lisbon. Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Robin Merrill.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the show. What started out as a subculture in the 1970s in New York has long since spread to mainstream youth culture here in Europe, hip-hop. And anyone familiar with hip-hop videos knows that there's a special way of walking the walk and talking the talk. The Hip Hop Models Agency here in Berlin specialises in providing authentic protagonists for the genre. And as the first of its kind in Germany, it's shimmying its way to the forefront of the scene.
Komm, beweg dich, Baby, zeig dich! Muévalo, 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 muévalo. Wine on the body and roll your waistline. Muévalo, 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 muévalo.
Muévalo, or Move It, is the name of this music video by Iron King. And the rapper is surrounded by young women who know how to move. Models who are also good dancers are a hot commodity for music productions and fashion shoots. That's why Yannick Nzingi and his partner Robert Schütze from Berlin opened Germany's first hip-hop modeling agency.
Hip-Hop Models gibt es seit 2009.
Hip-Hop Models has been around since 2009. The idea came to me when I was watching music videos on YouTube with a friend, because we were planning to shoot one ourselves. I started wondering where they get the models for the music video shoots. Then we realized that Germany didn't have an agency specializing in this area, in the area of hip-hop.
The agency has over 50 models on its books. Designers and fashion labels are looking for models who can present street styles with authenticity.
We weren't after models with that doll-like look. Instead, we're after a more distinctive look, something a bit rougher-edged, which is what hip-hop is all about. And our models are also good dancers. They've got skills. That's what we call it in hip-hop.
Sandra Lambeck, a 17-year-old Berliner, certainly has the skills. Even though she's shorter than the average model, for the agency, she fits right into their concept.
It's the ideal agency for me. I'm not 1.73 m, the perfect catwalk model. So this is a good match, because I dance as well.
It's a different attitude. The stiff look you see in the photos from Paris, where you're not even allowed to smile on the catwalk, that's not what hip-hop modeling is about at all. We're allowed to be sexy, we're allowed to have dance moves, to have charisma.
Even if they don't need to be as tall or as thin, hip-hop models still need to meet high standards. They have to be talented, highly trained, and have a strong stage presence.
We want the models to be real and authentic and to celebrate the spirit of hip-hop.
So-called hip-hop honeys have been an important part of the American music and media scene for years. The new German hip-hop model agency takes its cue from that. But the European market demands different attributes from its models.
Europe prefers less curvy models. In America, they want big bottoms, large breasts, and very curvaceous figures, especially for the music videos. Here, slimmer figures are favored, and the natural look, not so dolled up.
Joey Elgersma manages the sports section of Europe's biggest street and urban wear trade fair, Bread and Butter. He's always on the lookout for good models.
I think that this is a very strong thing that all the brands are aiming for, to be special with special people and not only the normal skinny, fashion models.
The models work continuously on improving their stage presence, sense of rhythm, and dance skills in newly developed workshops, which the agency launched last month.
The most important thing we want to give the models is the discipline to persevere and keep working. Even when people say you can't do it, we want to show them anything is possible. You have to persevere, you have to practice. You have to keep going and refuse to give up.
The training prepares the models for all aspects of the job: music video shoots, photo shoots, and the catwalk.
The Spanish island of Mallorca is visited by almost 10 million Germans every year. But away from the tourist hordes, the Mediterranean island has areas of outstanding natural beauty. Photographer Jörg Bräuer is attracted to this side of the island, and he avoids the tourists by taking pictures when the island sleeps.
Port del Sudia on the northeast coast of Mallorca is a popular destination for package tourists. But at 6 in the morning, it presents photographer Jörg Bräuer with an unexpectedly magical motif, void of holidaymakers.
At a certain time of day, everywhere has a certain special atmosphere. What I'm after is a certain light and a certain ambience that conveys a particular mood and has a special beauty that I want my pictures to express.
Born in Germany, Jörg Bräuer lived on Mallorca for 18 months, discovering parts of the island that remain untouched by mass tourism. Bräuer wants to illustrate the original beauty of Mallorca that attracted the first visitors 100 years ago. Locations that many tourists pass by unnoticed these days.
There's little interest in the parts that aren't lit up with neon. But in lots of places, there really is nothing going on, and that's what makes them so lovely. That's what sets Mallorca apart. Its beauty is very subtle and gentle. It needs to be appreciated.
The nature of things, Bräuer's first published collection of photographs, has received much acclaim. In the early 1990s, he studied graphic design in New York, and he says it was there that he developed his basic style.
There's a certain look to my work based on the fact that I tend to depict motifs in a stripped-down, abstract way. I deliberately look for motifs in architecture and nature that I can use to create a particular visual and abstract form, an aesthetic composition.
Today, he's in Mallorca to meet Hubert Feil, who's heading the campaign to have the Balearic Islands named European Capital of Culture 2016. Feil hopes to enlist the help of Bräuer, and they're looking for motifs in the mountain village of Valdemossa.
Jörg Bräuer is an exceptional photographer. We consider him a real artist. The slogan of our campaign is Palma de Mallorca and the Invisible Islands. We want to get beyond the cliches and all the usual images to show what's never been seen before. Jörg Bräuer is a photographer who goes around the world with his eyes open, making the invisible visible, with extraordinary poetry and magic.
Und das mit einer unglaublichen Poesie und Magie verbindet.
Jörg Bräuer's collection of photographs reveals a side of Mallorca that most tourists never get to see, even though there's nothing to stop them. All they have to do is keep their eyes wide open.
It just shows there's a lot more to Mallorca than busy tourist resorts. The city of Schwerin in northeastern Germany is celebrating its 850th anniversary this year. Once home to the Dukes and Grand Dukes of Mecklenburg, its many sites and historical attractions, including a glorious castle, have been lovingly restored in recent years. We took a tour of this rather unsung capital on the water.
Lake Schwerin is one of the largest bodies of water in Germany. Located on its southern shore is the country's smallest state capital, Schwerin. Its cathedral has the tallest steeple in northern Germany. It towers 120 meters above the ground. The market square in front of the cathedral features a statue of a lion in honor of Schwerin's founder, Henry the Lion. The tour guide is dressed as another famous son of Schwerin.
Mannequin Peter is the castle ghost. Every castle has a ghost. Since the 12th century, there have been all kinds of ghosts, including poltergeists. Because he was small, ours is called Mannequin Peter.
And this is where he is said to have lived, Ravine Castle. The first buildings on the site were erected 1,000 years ago. The present castle has undergone extensive renovation.
In the beginning, the castle was just seen as an expensive building site. We got the impression that the locals weren't really aware of this jewel. It seemed a bit like the fairy tale castle in Sleeping Beauty, while the princess is asleep.
Schwerin is the capital of Mecklenburg-Vorpommern, and the state parliament is housed in the castle, which was once home to the Dukes of Mecklenburg. The splendid throne room dates from the 19th century.
The last of the scaffolding will come down in 2014, but then we'll start all over again. The castle is going to remain a building site, but we hope the work won't detract too much from its beauty.
Schwerin's old town is full of 19th century half-timbered houses. The Pfaffenteich is an artificial lake created more than 800 years ago. It's the perfect place to take a short pause while exploring the city. Schwerin also boasts one of northern Germany's greatest art collections. The State Art Museum is home to an impressive collection of Dutch paintings, the second largest in Germany. The museum also has almost 90 works by Marcel Duchamp from France, one of the 20th century's most significant avant-garde artists. There's currently a special exhibition to commemorate the city's 850th birthday. It features images inspired by the city by artists from Schwerin and further afield. One Schwerin photographer was particularly fascinated by the old ruined buildings that can still be found all over the city.
Cities are always changing. Cities are never finished. One has to deal with and accept places that are in transition, like ruins, without immediately wanting to make them look nicer or tear them down and build something new. That is an option, but it takes time. You have to accept that cities are always
Castle ghost mannequin Peter ends his city tour in front of a small Baroque church. Schwerin may be small for a state capital, but it has a long and varied history. A must for anyone paying a visit to northern Germany.
We're off to the Portuguese capital now, which this year is proud to host the 25th Rock in Rio Festival. The event was founded in Rio de Janeiro back in 1985, but in 2004 it jumped continents to take place in Lisbon for the first time. Meanwhile, European fans loved it so much it's become a regular event on this continent. Euromaxx took a look at a festival that rocks for a good cause.
British star Elton John performs hits from the 1970s. Shortly afterwards, Portuguese fado singer Marisa takes to the stage. The festival is all about contrasts and crossing boundaries.
I don't know how to deal with music and make walls and making separations. For me, music is music. It doesn't have that thing like, well, I don't sing that because it's Brazilian, or I don't do that because it's German, or I don't do that because it's Chinese. If I have the opportunity of working with a German musician or a Chinese musician, I will do it. If I like it, why not? We are talking about music, and music belongs to everybody, to everyone.
Lisbon's Rock City is built on 5 square kilometres of land. It has space for up to 100,000 visitors and 10 stages. Marisa enjoys spontaneous jam sessions with other musicians as much as her own concert.
The difference is because they have more audience in the big stage and the other small audience. It's only that, because when you do music, you do music.
Marta Miranda is a new kid on the block of the Portuguese music scene. With her band Orquestrada, she specialises in world music with Portuguese roots.
I think it's all that nobody says, you know? That's silence. Portugal, it's a country of silence. And people are not so brave to say what they think. So with music, it's more easy.
Colombian superstar Shakira is one of the top acts. It's the 4th time the festival's being held in Europe. It's just as successful as when it was first launched 25 years ago in Rio de Janeiro. Most of the profits are donated to social welfare projects.
Why don't I use the awareness of my brand and the capability of producing this movement to make some social statement that it's more than a claim, it's like the definition of how Rock in Rio grew up and became this movement.
Marta Miranda gets the message. She's really enjoying the atmosphere.
Different artists, so it's very good because they make, in this meeting, it's a better world that you made when different artists can meet each other. And all the public get along with that, so they can help to change the world. They can open in your heart, they can open your mind for that moment.
Then Fado queen Marisa takes to the stage for a duet with Brazilian rock musician Zé Ricardo. They perform a Beatles song. At the Rock in Rio Festival in Lisbon, anything is possible.
Finally, a group of surfers here in Germany who are celebrating 50 years of riding the waves off the island of Sylt in the North Sea. In fact, when they started, they actually thought they'd invented something new. They hadn't heard about surfing culture elsewhere in the world. 7 of the original groups still go surfing today, and a young surfer has just made a film about them.
This is the beach at Kampen, on the German North Sea island of Sylt. Germany's pioneers of riding the waves have never missed a season in 50 years.
There are 7 of us. We were the first real surfers in Germany.
Fighting the waves and nature. There's nothing better than that.
Yes, we were the first. It's been proven.
And these were their first attempts. A new film called The Fathers of Wave Riding, Germany's First Surfers, features original Super 8 footage from the 1950s and 60s. Documentary filmmaker Jörg Hennessen met one of these pioneers 4 years ago while surfing.
We hit it off immediately. We were on the same wavelength. And he told me we were the first ones. I didn't believe him, and I thought at first maybe a third or less of what he was saying was true. And then I met his daughter soon afterward, and she confirmed everything he told me.
5 hours of amateur film footage document the story that began with a group of lifeguards on Sylt in the mid-1950s.
I used to be a good swimmer, but I never liked to swim. That meant I went in the water only when there were some waves and you could do something with them. And then we had these heavy rescue boards. They were 4.5 meters long.
They weighed 50 kilos. We had some pretty bad crashes on them. And you could only ride straight ahead on the wave.
The boards were actually intended to help save lives. Then, in 1963, the lifeguards found an article about surfing in the Pacific.
And we thought, what a surprise. People are doing elsewhere what we're doing here.
And there was a small closing sentence that probably changed my whole life. It said that a first group of surfers had already been observed in southwestern France, in Biarritz. And that was like a starting gun for us. When the season ended, we packed up our gear and headed down south to see what was going on.
The German lifeguards drove 2,000 kilometers to the French Atlantic coast and, for the first time, saw real surfers from France, New Zealand, and Australia. At the time, the upmarket seaside resort of Biarritz was the meeting place for the young surfer scene.
I then started traveling and basically did nothing but surf for the next 12 years.
When the life-saving season ended, we moved on and extended the summer. And we had cars, we had our boards with us, and our beds. We were totally happy.
France, Portugal, the Canary Islands. The group got to know all of Europe's best surfing locations. And they made the sport well known in Germany, too. Their lives have been marked by riding the waves.
There were so many great stories, from lifeguarding to Sylt itself, and how they made their way around the world, what they experienced.
Today, the oldest among them is 83. A film about the history of a sport, about growing old, and a way of life.
I'll keep on surfing as long as I can, with a smaller, more modest standard, but still with plenty of enjoyment. And I like to watch it, too. That's the important thing.
At some point, you don't manage the big waves anymore, but the fun's still all there, even with the smaller ones. It always is. Even if you keep standing just for a few seconds and a few meters through the water, it's sheer joy, sheer joy.
That's all for now, but you'll find all sorts of reports from Euromaxx on YouTube if you're interested. Just type in Deutsche Welle English, all one word, and the choice is yours. For now, though, until next time, bye-bye.